Hello, guys and gals, me Mutahar, and China hacked the United States State Department and was looking at emails. You might be like, Muta, that's a big claim you're making. It ain't my claim, it's the US government's and Microsoft. So I know we talk about a lot of hacks and everything, but this is straight up spying and straight up digital warfare of the highest degree. So, ladies and gentlemen, I will walk you through exactly how this happened. But for anybody that's out of the loop, basically emails, right? We all know what an email is, but we also have to understand that our emails are hosted by big tech companies. So even if you are the US government, you probably have a contract with big companies, like Microsoft in this case, to run the entire enterprise email ring for people. We do it here in the office with Google, so everyone relies on a cloud provider. Now, on a personal level, when it comes to cloud storage and cloud things, I tend to use my own open source solutions. I think there's only one other YouTuber that I know, maybe two other people. I think it's Mental Outlaw that does it, and maybe it might be Wendell from Level 1 Techs. These are the only people that I think I know who actually build. Us three use our own cloud solutions. Because if it's one thing that you can't trust, it's big tech. It really is. Because generally, while things are safe, usually when there is a mix-up, a screw-up, so to speak, it's out of your control. You really do rely on these big companies that have billions of dollars to put into security, and even then, things do tend to falter. But let's get down to the nitty-gritty of it. So China was accused by Microsoft and basically the US government. So Microsoft says that a group known as Storm 0558. You might be like, whoa, that sounds like a cool SCP or something out of the Avengers or the DC universe. No, this is not a comic book villain. This is not an SCP. This is just a name that they gave for a Chinese-based agency that targets government groups in Western Europe and the United States, and it focuses on espionage, data theft, and of course, credential access. So there were some reports literally 2 days ago, and Microsoft actually began an investigation into what they call anomalous mail activity. For those of you who don't know what anomalous mail activity is, basically somebody opened up the Microsoft logs, the audit logs, for everything that happens on the server. Every interaction, every file change, everything. So in this entire list, it turns out that the agencies had looked for client app ID and app ID and noticed that these things had actually run an event known as mail items accessed. Now, mail items access is about as simple as you can expect. Anytime that you go onto Microsoft's email servers, or really any servers, generally what it means is any connected client that accesses user items. So in this case, it was mail. Now, what was really wild about it is the engineers and the security researchers who were spending their night looking at this probably noticed that there was one or two accounts that opened up like 100 emails at like 2:30 in the morning. Now, that's the kind of behavior you look at and say, well, who the fuck is up at 2:30 in the morning flipping through their emails? Even if the activity was totally legitimate, I'm pretty sure the next day a security agent would come in and probably ask a couple questions. But in this case, it became more sinister because it appeared that these people actually used forged tickets, forged validation tokens to come into these servers in the first place. Now, according to Microsoft, they literally had written that they actually found that all of this started from their investigations since May 15th, 2023. So to understand, this has basically meant that whoever this group is, if they are a Chinese intelligence agency, has been in the servers for at least a month, if that. So, of course, at this moment in time, obviously, you can imagine that when a rival country breaches into the email servers, some email servers, in this case, there were approximately 25 organizations, including again those government agencies and of course related consumer accounts. When the rival country jumps in, that's scary, okay? That's like a level of espionage that could absolutely lead to war, absolutely lead to some serious discussions behind the scenes. Or in front of the scenes, who knows? But basically the way that this hack worked, according to Microsoft, is they used a forged authentication token. In fact, tokens. So you might be like, whoa, not stolen this time? Yeah, it appeared that they were forged. So according to Microsoft, they said that the threat actor exploited a token validation issue in order to impersonate Azure AD users. The attacker used an acquired Microsoft account key, so stolen, to forge tokens to access OWA and Outlook.com. Outlook, some of you might be using. I know I use it for email, so yeah, I'm pissing myself a little bit. until ultimately giving them access to enterprise mail accounts, which is your business emails, people that pay like a pretty penny to run, their company's email off of your servers. However, Microsoft account keys for consumers and Azure AD keys for enterprises are issued from separate systems and should only be valid for their respective systems according to the company. So again, they have no indication that those keys or other MSA keys were used by this actor. So it appears that Microsoft claims that all of this is like totally plugged up. In fact, according to them, they successfully blocked Storm 0558 from accessing customer emails using any of those forged authentication tokens. You don't gotta do anything, ladies and gentlemen. But as with any observed nation state activity, Microsoft has contacted all targets and compromised organizations, because that's what you have to do. Now, you probably have understood Microsoft is pretty much on the money when it comes to security and working with the feds. And that's because they definitely have a very, very massive security department. And there's no like shame about that. Obviously, this kind of a hack could happen to anybody. When it comes to nation state hacks, like especially from China, Russia, really any country, North Korea at this point, Iran, whoever you want to call it, a lot of these guys have talented computer engineers, talented hackers. And when it comes to an amount of resources, they're sitting at near infinite resources with complete diplomatic immunity. It's not as if these guys do really get caught and identified by the US like three-letter agencies, that China's just magically going to hand them over. 100% chance that some of these people are actually active military personnel in China and they would never be turned over. But this also really begs the question about safety and how bad this actually really is. Look, at the end of the day, this is literally China peeking into our country's like email servers, okay? Literally peeking in and looking at the nitty-gritty secrets that we share to keep people like us protected and so on and so forth, or some advantageous position we keep in the entire world. And again, that's just what every country does. If you think for a second that I'm going to sit here and tell you that the US doesn't do the exact same to China, it probably happens day in and day out. There's obviously cyber warfare going back in and back and forth. But one thing to question is this is literally on the cusp of like actually enticing warfare. Because at the end of the day, this is as much spying as you're possibly going to be able to do. This is as much espionage as you could imagine. So it really begs the question as to how much information that these Chinese hackers ended up grabbing from the US State Department. What kind of information did they grab? What kind of secrets did they dig up? And, it really is something that I feel like a lot of politicians and people in the US should absolutely debrief or really give people the good, grasp of. And that's really where it comes down to. Now, according to Microsoft, they blocked the usage of tokens signed with the acquired MSA key in OWA, preventing further access, okay? Microsoft completed the replacement of the key to prevent the threat actor from using it to forge token. That's really good. That's plugging up the fucking loophole. Microsoft blocked usage of tokens issued with the key for all impacted consumer customers. Now, you might be wondering, should I change my passwords? Honestly, I think you should change your passwords like every 60 days. I know I do. That's simply because I could never trust whenever information gets leaked out into like some, data leak somewhere on the dark web or, somewhere here even on the clear web. So that's just standard practice for me, but it's one thing you have to really understand is in the last year or two, it really seems like the cyber espionage has like evolved to a level where like these guys are inside the most like secure areas or what should be the most secure areas of the internet for a goddamn month solid. So yeah, it is kind of scary, it is kind of wild, but I wanted to explain how this happened. Yes, the Chinese did in fact hack US State Department emails. And yes, that should sound as bad as I'm putting it. It's fucking scary, it's fucking terrifying. But ladies and gentlemen, it's just another evolving world in our digital landscape. Every country is hacking everyone. And all I can really tell you is just keep taking care of your data. That's all you can really do. Focus on your privacy, keep your security up to date, and shit, if you do get hacked, hopefully try to mitigate as many losses as you can. Look, I just got hacked recently, okay? You see me sweating bullets? Hell no. The only sweat I'm doing is 35 degrees Celsius weather in Toronto. Can you imagine that? Insanity. But of course, keep yourself safe, keep everything mitigated, and above all, just use the internet responsibly. Anyways, if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike it if you dislike it. I am out.